Oh yeah, what is up? I'm Ethan, your real life English fluency coach, and today I have a bit of a different lesson. This is actually a free coaching session, something like that, and I'm going to be answering one of the most common questions learners like you ask me all the time as an expert in learning English with TV series, right? So I get asked all the time, what is the best TV series to learn English with? Now, of course, as you can imagine, this depends on many different factors, your personal interests. It can depend on what you work in or what you study. Maybe certain shows will be good for one person and not so good for another. But today I'm going to tell you 7 of the best series for English learners specifically. So I hope that at least one of these will tickle your fancy, which means that you will enjoy it. So first, I wanted to define a term for you. Sitcom. What's a sitcom? A sitcom is a situational comedy. This is a TV series that deals with everyday situations, mixing in humor. A lot of times they're about a family or a group of friends and kind of the everyday problems that people have with their jobs or with their love life. Different things like this, and they are very good for English learners because they tend to use a lot of the vocabulary that you will encounter every day, not so much like a textbook, right, which teaches you generally in different blocks like the hospital or the house, which maybe you won't be able to actually use that in everyday life. In contrast, if there is someone talking with their mother, maybe you can get something out of that that you can actually use when you have to speak English. And before we jump into the list, also, why should you learn English with TV series? So the reason TV series are so great for learning English is because, first of all, they are usually funny or they're very enjoyable. So they help you to get engaged in the learning process. They help to make it fun or even addictive. A lot of us have probably at some point binged on a TV series. This means that you watch many episodes without stopping. So you binge on a TV series. Now, while this might not be the healthiest habit, if you do it in English and you actually have some techniques to learn with it, which you can click here for a video I did talking about some different recommendations for that, then you can actually take this enjoyable thing and make it very beneficial for your English fluency. It's always very important that you're developing powerful and enjoyable habits for your English. So that said, let's jump in today's lesson where I'm going to share with you 7 of the best TV series just for English learners. Alright, so the first series is a classic. I'm sure you have heard of it. Maybe you've watched an episode at some point. That one is Friends. If you've followed our channel, it probably comes to no surprise to you, but it really is one of the best TV series of all time for English learners. And the reason that we teach so much with it is just because of personal experience of traveling the world. I have met so many English learners who tell me that they learned English by watching all 10 seasons of Friends. Now, a lot of people ask, but this show is like 20 years old. Is it still relevant for how English is spoken today? And the truth is, yes, it is very relevant. There have actually been studies done showing that Friends affected how we speak English today. One example of this is the word totally as a discourse marker. So for example, we could say, are you going to go to Mark's party tonight? And I could respond, yeah, totally, I'm going to go to that party. One of the things that makes this series so great for English learners, as I said before, is because it follows the everyday life of 6 friends living in New York City. So all the scenarios that they cover in Friends tend to help you build a vocabulary that is actually very beneficial to you and that you can use in your everyday English. We have made tons of lessons, as I said, with Friends, so if you're new here, I recommend you check out a playlist of those. You can click here to find that. And we actually have a course that takes the first 2 seasons of Friends and gives you learning guides and MP3s to help you to maximize your English fluency and have a lot of fun doing it with this course. And I will link to a video up here and in the description telling you why we chose Friends. And the other great thing about Friends is that it is available on Netflix. So if you have a subscription to that, I will be actually mentioning that with all of the series today. The next one, which is a little bit different than Friends, but still terrific for English learners, is Big Bang Theory. Now, I don't think this series will be enjoyed by everyone, but if you're a bit of a geek like I am, and a geek is someone who has kind of different or weird hobbies or interests, then you'll probably enjoy this show a lot because it covers all sorts of different themes about science or popular culture, but kind of popular culture that would be considered more geeky, like Star Trek or Star Wars. Then you will absolutely love this show. Like Friends, it has a lot of everyday language that will be very useful to you in your English, but it also uses a lot of scientific terms, which for certain English learners can be extremely practical. However, if you're not into science, it is still a great series, and don't feel bad if you don't understand something, because even us native speakers, we miss some of the words. It's not your fault. You can check out some lessons that we've made with Big Bang Theory by clicking right here. All right, the next one is one of my personal favorites. I actually watch this almost every day. It is Modern Family, and this is probably one of the most popular running American sitcoms in the United States right now. So Modern Family is all about a not so typical American family, and it actually makes the comment that nowadays no family is what you might expect, and it follows all different parts of this family in their everyday life and their challenges. And some of them are young kids, some of them are parents, some of them are grandparents. And so you really get a full scope of family life and all sorts of different vocabulary and expressions that will be super useful for you. One of the reasons that I really love this show is that we get to see how the characters evolve. And although this is true in most sitcoms, in this one it's especially relevant because as many of the characters are kids, we see them grow from being very young to them becoming adults and maybe going off to college. That's where the series is right now. And this series is of course very famous for Gloria, who's played by Sofia Vergara, and she is from Colombia living in the United States, so there's a lot of humor around her as an English learner, and you will probably be able to relate to that and laugh a lot. We have some lessons we've made with Modern Family that you will find down in the description box below, and you can also find this series on Netflix. All right, number 4 is another terrific series, How I Met Your Mother. If you love Friends or other series of this type, then you will probably love How I Met Your Mother because it's pretty much like Friends, but instead of being in a coffee shop, it's in a bar. This show is absolutely full of cultural information and jokes about New York and Canada, in fact, and it can be a really great way to get in touch with the United States. It's also available on Netflix, and you can check out some lessons that we have made with How I Met Your Mother by clicking up here. All right, we're on number 5 now. It is Breaking Bad, and this is a bit different than the first 4, as it is not a sitcom. It is, in fact, a drama. And this is often considered one of the best TV series of all time. It follows the life of Walt, who is a high school chemistry teacher who gets cancer, and in order basically to pay the medical bills, he starts making methamphetamines, which is a highly illegal drug in the United States. And he becomes very successful doing this. So it's a bit of a criminal movie, and it's extremely fascinating watching how this character evolves. I highly recommend if you have not already seen it. It's kind of a must-watch if you don't mind the subject matter. And if you've already watched it and liked it, then it could be a great opportunity for you to go back and watch it again to practice your English. It's a bit more difficult, so I'd probably recommend it to learners who have intermediate up to advanced English. And it's also available on Netflix. All right, so we're getting down to the last 2. Number 6 is Seinfeld. This is probably one of my all-time favorite comedies. I have very fond memories of growing up with it, watching it with my family when I was a kid, and even when I'm back in the United States, we often watch reruns of it. A rerun is a repeat episode because it's not running anymore. And this series was extremely popular in the United States and other English-speaking countries, even though internationally it was not quite as famous. If you go to the United States and you talk to people who are my age or a bit older, many of them will have watched this show, and there's even a lot of jokes that surround the language and the humor from Seinfeld. So it's kind of a classic. I highly recommend you go watch it. With each episode, you're going to get more addicted and learn more about American culture. We have made a couple lessons about Seinfeld that you will also find down in the description box below. And the last one, number 7, is Stranger Things. So the reason that I chose this one is because it is a newer show that has been extremely popular all around the world. It is not a comedy, it's a bit of a thriller, and it's a bit of a throwback, meaning that it is meant to give some nostalgia of a past time period. So it takes place in the 1980s. And if you're my age or older, you will probably really be reminded of your childhood. So as I said, this is a very popular show nowadays. It's highly addictive, especially the first season. I thought both were great, but the first one is definitely the best. So if you have not watched that, you can go watch it on Netflix. All right, thanks so much for sticking through for all 7 of those. I hope that you will go and check out some of these, look up the trailers on YouTube, watch some of our lessons that we've taught with them to figure out which one you like the most, and then choose one and go and watch it, learn with it. Very actively write down new vocabulary or rewatch parts where maybe you missed it because of some sort of pronunciation. Or you can do some different exercises that we've talked about in the video that I mentioned at the beginning. Just to wrap up this video, I have a bonus for you. We had many different series that couldn't make the cut, meaning that we couldn't include them fully in this video, but I still wanted to go through them quickly to give you some more ideas in case maybe you've seen some of these series before or you just want more for your TV series list. So here it goes. The first one is Game of Thrones. You probably have already heard of this. If you have not seen it, what are you waiting for? It is amazing. It's probably not one of the best series from a language learning point of view, but it's extremely addictive. You will definitely enjoy it. Go check it out. The next one is Mr. Robot. If you have not seen this one or heard of it, it's all about hacking. It takes place in a time period like ours, and it's very, very fascinating and addicting. And I believe there's already 3 seasons, so you can go and watch quite a bit of those. And after that is Westworld. This is a new one from HBO. The 2nd season just came out. It is about artificial intelligence taking place in a scenario of the Old West. So it's a terrific mix. I think you will enjoy it a lot. Go and check out the trailer for that. The next one is Silicon Valley, and as Real Life English is actually a startup, I find this one extremely hilarious. It's all about the technological hub, the capital in the United States, that is Silicon Valley near San Francisco. So if you're at all into technology, I think you'll find this one really funny. After that is Orange is the New Black, which you can watch on Netflix as well. It's been running for quite a long time, and it's about a women's prison. You probably haven't seen a TV series like this ever before, so it's definitely worth taking a look at. After that, I have Saturday Night Live. This isn't really a series, but it is more of a show of skits or sketches, and it's different comedy. There's always a different celebrity guest star. I highly recommend that you watch that if you like comedy, like stand-up comedy. Americans tune in for this every Saturday. You're going to laugh a lot. Next, I have an animated series. This is called Rick and Morty. So far, I believe there have been 4 seasons. It's also very funny. It might be for more upper intermediate to advanced learners, but if you're into animated series and you have not seen that one yet, I recommend that you check it out. Then there's 13 Reasons Why. This is another Netflix series. It has been extremely popular, but also extremely controversial, as it is about a suicide that happens in a high school. So if you're okay with the kind of controversial subject matter, it's a very fascinating and addictive series. It will keep you on the edge of your seat. And by the way, to keep you on the edge of your seat means that you're in anticipation of the next thing that is going to happen. Just a few more. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. This is another one that is older, but many Americans have watched it and it reminds them of their childhood. And if you love Will Smith, this is kind of how he got his beginning, so you will probably love seeing him as a young kid. Then I have another animated series, The Simpsons. You've definitely heard of it. You will never run out of episodes. You could check that out as a way to practice your English. Then I have The Office, which there's both a British and an American version. As an American, I personally prefer the American version, but this is very hilarious. It takes place in an office, so if you're someone who works basically, you can find a lot of useful sort of situations and vocabulary, and it's a bit of a different type of humor. So I definitely recommend that you try that one. And then the very last one is 2.5 Men, all about two brothers living together in California. There's many very crazy situations that happen, so it's another comedy that you might want to take a look at. All right, and just to finish up this video, thanks so much for watching all the way till now. I would love for you to comment below. Let me know if I missed any series that you really love, and why don't you tell me what's your favorite TV series for learning English? You can share it with the rest of the English learners in our community. I'm sure some people will get a lot of benefit out of that, so thank you. If you're new here, I highly recommend you subscribe because we make new lessons with TV series every single week, just like the ones I mentioned today. You can click here to do that. You can also get a free 3-part mini course which will teach you with the funniest ever scene from Friends that you will not find on YouTube. You can get that by clicking here, and you can watch more of our lessons by clicking here. Now go out there and kick ass with your English. Thanks so much.